undo the effects of that if you are stuck in this range where the liquidity trap is binding. Of course, if you were luckier and you haven't got to that point yet, if aggregate supply was intersecting demand where it was downward sloping, then this argument shows you can, through expansionary monetary policy, reverse the drop in demand. You can't do it where you need to do it here. What about the aggregate supply curve? Any reason to shift that? It depends exactly what your theory of aggregate supply is. If you have the standard Keynesian sticky wage model, there'd be no reason to shift aggregate supply here. If you had a more sophisticated worker misperceptions model of aggregate supply, you would actually shift aggregate supply when people expect deflation. Which way would you shift it? So if aggregate supply depends on inflation expectations, which we have some theories where it does, which way does it shift? This, by the way, is optional. You don't have to put this into your answer. But if you wanted to, I would just advise you earlier not to waste time trying to impress the examiners with complications that weren't in the question. But just in case you were asked about this, what is the effect of expected inflation, deflation in this case, on aggregate supply? So if the aggregate supply depends on high E, like the worker misperceptions model, what will happen? Which way will it shift? It's going to go down. So expectations of rising prices or inflation shifts aggregate supply upwards. Expectations of falling prices or deflation shifts it downwards. AS shifts right, say. Does that help the economy? Well, it has no effect on output because you're on the vertical segment of demand. It does, though, give you even more deflationary pressure. It will give you an even lower price level. So this picture is why central bankers are running scared of deflation. It can reduce demand in a way that standard monetary policy tools can't offset. And even worse, the process can become entrenched. You see the outcome of expecting deflation is prices actually start falling, which justifies the original belief that prices will fall. Might make the original fall in inflation expectations even worse. Might set off another round of this process. So the economy can go into a kind of downward spiral through this logic. So that's deflation and liquidity trap. So at this point, I'm going to wrap up the session. I'm going to be here for about 10 more minutes to take questions in case you want to ask me anything else.